Hello and welcome to the international programme. I think it's true to say that we have our fair share of good walks in and around Herzogenaurach. Whether it's a stroll through our town centre to look at all the interesting historical buildings, or most of us are just a short stroll away from open countryside or peaceful forests. But if that's not enough to inspire you, then I think for this month's report, Gillian's found something that just might do the job.
Alpacas are definitely not a common sight in Germany, so we were surprised when we heard that a farm here in Beutelsdorf has quite a few alpacas. We got in touch with the family that owns the farm to learn more about these adorable animals.
An alpaca farm in Germany is a very unusual idea. Why did your family start to have this alpaca farm and when did you start?
The idea began over 10 years ago. At first, my mom and her partner wanted to keep some chickens or goats, but after my mom saw some alpacas on TV, she fell in love with them. Later, she had the opportunity to see some alpacas, and there's a quote which fits perfectly. Never look too long into an alpaca's eyes. You might fall in love.
And how difficult was it to set up the farm?
Unfortunately, the neighboring plot wasn't available, so we had to find another place. The idea started more than 10 years ago, and we only started with our farm 5 years ago. And we were very lucky because an alpaca breeder wanted to sell many alpacas for kind of cheap. So we got our first 6 alpacas, but we still had to do some workshops and apply to the town because the new plot is in a wildlife preserve. So we had to make sure that we can even keep alpacas there.
How many alpacas do you have and what is the age range?
We currently have 9 alpacas and most of them are 6 years old, but we also have some younger ones. Ferdinand is our youngest alpaca. He was born just 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. And who's naming all the alpacas? You and your family?
The alpacas we bought from other breeders were already named by them. One exception is Lemmy. His name was Linus, but we already have a Linus, so we had to rename him. The only alpaca that was born on our farm, Ferdinand, we named him after his father, Fernando. Yeah.
Is it just your family that manages the farm or do you have help from other people?
It's basically a family project. My mom does most of the work regarding hikes. Her partner Günther is there to keep the plot and to repair fences or to drive the alpacas around. And my twin sister and I are just the helpers when my mom needs some more helping hands during hikes or when she's on holiday.
Now tell us something about the hikes in general. What was the idea behind it?
The idea behind it is to slow down your normal day. They just emit a calming aura, sort of, and it's good against stress or just to wind off.
Does the hike also depend on the weather? And would you also go on a hike with the alpacas when it's like raining?
Obviously, it's better when the sun is shining and it's warm, but we also offer the hikes during slightly raining weather. Mostly it's up to the people if they want to reschedule the hike if the weather's not in their liking. The weather's mostly too cold or too wet in January, so we have a pause and another run from middle August to end of August, so my mom can go on summer holiday.
And how many people can join the hike? And also, do you always walk the same route with the alpacas or no?
We have 9 alpacas, so it's best if 9 people join the hike, but people also can share an alpaca with 2 leashes. That way we can accommodate 18 people. We have two different kinds of hikes. One is just a short 1-hour trip through the forest. The other is through the forest to a beer garden.
And that's the hike we decided to take, to the beer garden in Obermembach and back. We were really lucky with the weather. It was a beautiful sunny day, perfect for a leisurely hike. And after walking in the sun for a bit, it was really nice to be in the forest where it was cool and peaceful. The hike was at the alpaca's pace, sometimes pausing to let them grab a bite to eat or to scratch an itch. There were a few occasions when the alpacas were a bit skittish, but in general it wasn't too difficult to calm them down, and the team was always there in case anyone needed help. As we left the forest, the alpacas sensed that our destination was not too far off and picked up the pace. At the beer garden, there was a lot of interest in the alpacas, especially among the children. Lucy was the center of attention and took it all in her stride. The alpacas concentrated on what was important, lunch, while Jan introduced some of them to us.
This is Nadu. During hike she is the group's leader, but at times she can be a bit of a drama queen. She is very curious but also very cautious. Ferdinand, he's the son of Lucy. He is very easy to pet. Usually you can't touch males on their heads or on their butts, but he doesn't really mind. Ron Weasley is the one with the red fur and scar on his back. Yeah, Harry Potter would have been a better name, but the scar came later. He's really nice towards old people or small children. He is one of the smartest alpacas we have. He can untie the knots of his leash if he wants to. But sometimes he doesn't know what's actually his leash, so he just unknots someone else's. Also, he's very hungry. He eats the most and he's also the heaviest. The other alpacas are around 50 to 60 kilograms, but he is around 75. That's Linus. He's also very smart. We think that he knows his name, but most of the time he just ignores it. During hikes, he has his own mind. When every alpaca is walking on the right side, he chooses to walk on the left, and he likes to sing during walks. That's Valentin. He's not the brightest candle. Sometimes when the other alpacas see that my mom's coming, they run towards her because she fills up the good hay. During that time, he's still eating grass and slowly realizes everyone else is already gone, and then he runs full of panic towards the group. Fernando is the group's leader. He always is the last one on the hikes to make sure that the other alpacas are still there. He can count to 8, so he knows when someone is missing. He is very calm. He is always there, just walking perfectly fine.
That was really interesting, to be able to tell the alpacas apart, not just by their physical differences, but also their very different personalities. After all that walking and eating, it was time for the alpacas to have a short nap and soak up the sun. We took the opportunity to have lunch too, before finally heading back to the farm. The hike was on gravel and forest paths, covering a total distance of about 6 to 8 kilometers, and the terrain was largely flat, so it was not too strenuous. When we got back to the farm, Fernando, or was that Nadu, also had a quick splash to cool down, and all of them got a special treat. The hikes are just one way that the farm connects people with alpacas.
You also offer alpaca visits. Can you tell us something about that? How long can you stay there with the alpacas, and do you have to book it in advance?
The alpaca stays are usually only available on weekdays, Monday to Thursday. You can stay there for 1 or 2 hours with them. Usually you don't need to book many days in advance for that. 1 or 2 days prior to the date is normally perfectly fine.
You also offer birthday parties for children?
Yes, we do. Usually we do them on Friday afternoons for children aged 8 years or above. We have a little special program for them. During the hike, we will tell them many alpaca facts, and afterwards they can take part in an alpaca quiz to earn a certificate that they are pretty knowledgeable about alpacas.
And by the end of our visit, we were pretty knowledgeable about alpacas too. One interesting fact we learned is that alpacas can be toilet trained. We made a stop in a clearing on the way to the beer garden as well as on the way back for that. And here are some more alpaca facts that Jan shared with us before the hike.
Tell us something about the alpacas, like what do they eat?
They usually only eat grass, hay, and leaves. But we also have some treats. They are basically just compressed hay with some minerals. Alpacas are way smaller than llamas, so they are easier to manage. They eat less and it's easier to keep them on the leash. Also, they are easier to work with. Llamas can be more stubborn and are more moody.
Is the climate suitable here for the alpacas? Because usually you would think alpacas would need a more humid climate than like here in Germany.
I don't think that they really need a more humid climate because they're from the mountain range in South America and it's pretty dry there during summer. But they are perfectly suitable for the climate here in Germany. We just need to make sure that we share them during May. Otherwise, they would overheat pretty quickly.
After shearing the alpacas, soap is made from the keratin in their fleece and blankets from the fibers. So some of the items sold here are made from material sourced from the farm itself. Other items like cuddly toys, woolen items and wool come from a family business in Peru. For all of us, this hike was our first encounter with alpacas, and it was clear that everyone had a good time.
I find this a great concept.
It's so much fun with the alpacas, and Ron, my alpaca, is so funny, and yeah, you calm down from the working week and just walk and get your mind free, so it's perfect.
How did you find out about the whole hike?
Oh, and it was a present for my birthday. I told my parents I'd like to do such a hike, and so I got last year the gift from my parents, so yes.
And Julia wasn't the only one. Benjamin too received the hike as a birthday gift.
Genau, es war ein Geburtstagsgeschenk, eine Überraschung von einem Kumpel und ich wusste von nichts. Ja, dann hat er gesagt, ja, es wird irgendwas Haariges, Flauschiges. Ich wusste nicht, dass wir eine Alpaka-Wanderung machen, aber als ich es dann erfahren habe, fand ich es schon cool, ja.
Was war euer Lieblingsteil von der ganzen Wanderung? Also was war das Highlight?
Für mich persönlich war das Highlight einfach, wie es das Ganze aufgebaut war, die Geschichten zu den Alpakas und dann letzten Endes die Wanderung, einfach der Weg bis hierhin zum Bierkeller und ja, was man über diese Tiere erfährt und welche Ruhe die auch ausstrahlen.
Ja, ich fand es auch cool, dass jedes Alpaka so seinen eigenen Namen hat, so seine eigene Geschichte dahinter, was sie ausmacht an Charaktereigenschaften und ja, wie man mit ihnen umgehen kann, ja, was sie gerne mögen, was sie nicht so mögen und einfach so die Erfahrung dahinter.
Did you like the hike?
Yes, I enjoyed it. It was nice and calming. My favorite part about the hike was probably alpaca Doni putting his head down, pretending that he is going to scratch himself on the ground, but actually going to steal some grass.
Ein Frecher.
Would you recommend the whole hike to your friends and family?
Yeah, definitely. I do think it's a very interesting concept, and you know, this isn't something that you do every day or see everywhere.
Yum, 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 yum. Das sind Chips, ne? Da sind ganz viele Snacks.
Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.